Awesome. So I want to begin by asking you, what sort of your when you first heard about this whole project, about the whole After Dark action, not just Philly Kid, but all the films kind of being packaged together.
Never heard that.
You never heard about that?
No,
they didn't tell you about that plan?
That's just new. That's just, I guess they...
Well, you made the movie first.
Yeah, we made the movie
first. So I didn't know what you thought about when you heard that the film was going to be part of this package.
We just heard it was packaged.
Oh, okay.
We never knew when we were shooting it that... we knew that there was other films being made by the same company, but we didn't know they were going to package them all together. But it's great. It is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like, would you prefer the film be seen on its own, or do you like it that it's, fans of action movies are going to get to see all of these sort of together as part of, kind of a marketing thing like that? What's your feeling about it?
I think, as long as it's being seen, that's what makes me happy. And I think, action fans might be drawn to this sort of packaging thing and really appreciate and enjoy these movies. So, either way works for me.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a little bit about Dylan to begin with, since he is the Philly Kid.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about the character and kind of approaching the role for you.
Well, Dylan is a wrestling phenom. He's a college wrestling star. He's one of the youngest guys to win the national championship. And he's on his way to the Olympics. And he comes back home, he's celebrating with his friends. He gets in an accident. Well, there was a robbery gone wrong. If there's an accident, somebody gets their neck broke. Him and his best friend end up going to jail for 10 years. And so it's really about being in jail and what that experience did to him. And while he was in jail, everybody found out who he was and that he was this great wrestling and this great star. So it almost became a game for them to take him out. And so he had to constantly defend himself. And he became desensitized and kind of lost the ability to connect to people and communicate. And it wasn't until, except for Jake, and Jake ended up saving his life in prison, so he has this close bond, this close relationship with Jake. It's pretty much the only family that he has. And when he gets out, he finds out that he's in a lot of trouble and he owes money to somebody that he can't pay back. So to save his life, the one guy that means everything to him, he ends up having to go back gets pulled into this world of underground fighting. Mm-hmm. The only thing he knows how to do.
Right. Well, and Jake, obviously, we heard a little bit about.
Yeah, Jake gets out a little bit earlier than Dylan and goes off on the wrong direction. Gets in some trouble and starts drinking and gambling and he's a good guy. He just kind of goes the wrong way. And when Dylan gets out, he kind of he's got to help him out a little bit. So.
Did you guys do any sort of research into prisoners, prison life, that kind of, what kind of research do you guys do for the role? Fighting, obviously fight training, I would assume.
Well, yeah, I mean, I watched a lot of prison documentaries and things like that, and also I grew up wrestling. I know he's a big MMA fan and enthusiast, and he practices Muay Thai and
jiu-jitsu, a little wrestling. Just hobby fighter.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes the movie so authentic, is that we both have a little bit of a background in mixed martial arts, and it comes off on screen. It doesn't look like a dance film, which some of the other films kind of look like. But this film's got it's authentic, and Rich Clemente was there making sure that everything was good. If it wasn't, he would step in and say, "Hey, that's not looking."
He did all the fight choreography.
He did the fight, and he's also a small part in the film.
Okay,
and
he
he's
plays
a great
the trainer.
guy. Yeah, he's a great guy.
And what's really interesting about this, and what I really enjoyed about this film, I've done action things before. He's done action things before, where everything is really choreographed. The punch, and it's all about the camera, looking good for the camera. And they kind of wanted to do the anti of that and the antithesis of that. And so. Because I had wrestling and boxing and jiu-jitsu background, and there was no stunt guys in the film. It was all real fighters that are actually competing in UFC right now, and so they really gave us situations and said, you're going to take this guy down, you're going to struggle for position here, we're going to film that, and they wanted it really gritty, really raw, really tough. I mean, gouging eyes. And,
it was real. It got real on set sometimes. Like as real as it could without crossing the line. But they did hats off to them in there. They did a great job. And there was, I think there was 5-6 days straight where they shot all all the action stuff, and
that's
and
brutal.
This guy was eating no salt, chicken and vegetables, and my character was kind of like, you know, I didn't have to worry about my physique, so I was eating all the southern food, and this guy, you know, I was very proud.
So you guys shot all the fight stuff together, and then the
if you
action stuff separate.
All the fight scenes that take place, and we only had that space for a while. What was the place called?
Texas Club.
The Texas Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we had that for 3 days. So we had to get all the Texas Club fights in 3 days. So 8 hours a day for 3 days straight is just fighting.
And that was a real club that actually held real amateur fights and stuff like that in a kind of a shadier area of town.
Yeah.
And it had that feel. It was like you knew that this was kind of authentic
Right.
and real, and it had that feel, and it was cool. It was a great shoot.
Yeah, it was, and it's really interesting to kind of be in that world and be around those guys, and they're a different breed, and especially the guys that I was fighting with. You know, they didn't mind getting hit. They didn't mind.
Right.
There's a couple times over here, I'm like, hit me for real, really? Hit me for real.
Yeah, like, this looks fake. Hit me for real.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were
Well,
really
I was
real.
going to ask. I mean, you were saying that it gets really real. Is there a point as an actor where you sort of have to go, oh, no, you know, pull yourself back from actually getting physical, or you just go for it?
As an actor, I think it was really valuable because you really get a sense of what these guys are like by being, especially when you're physical with them and it's in your body, and you try to kind of take on their mentality as opposed to them taking on your mentality, because it works for the scene, and I mean, you know, guy got his nose broken, ribs cracked, knee guy got his knee hyperextended, and that's, you know, their muscle memory when they're in situations when there's a crowd and they're screaming, and it just kicks in. They, you know, they don't know how to pull their punches.
Right.
So things would just happen real quick, and it would be exciting because it would be you would have real moments.
Yeah, there's a couple times Wes screamed out "cut" and then had to go sit in his trailer. I'm not doing this anymore.
There's a time when Devon held me while I weeped in the car.
It gets real. That's crazy.
These guys are doing it for real.
Call me a sissy.
You guys have Neil McDonough in this film.
Yeah.
Tell me about working with Neil. He's so intense, such a good actor. Tell me about doing the scenes with him.
I think it's someone I looked up to because he's been in this business for so long and he's done such great things. It's like you kind of step back and watch him every so often because he's got a lot of experience, and yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, and I mean, Neil is hilarious. He's a really funny guy. So it was
dry, dry humor.
I loved when he came on set. You know, well, screaming chair and where's my water? That's
what did he called me number 4 or something like that. That was my number on the call sheet. I was number 4.
He'd be doing a scene and he would scream chair, and we have to get a chair for him to sit down.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And he would sit down in between takes, but
so he was kind of getting into the character a little bit. Say, bossing you guys around.
Yeah,
no, that was just him.
No, that's just him. But you know, Neil was an athlete. He played professional baseball, college baseball, and so he's a real physical guy and a real guy's guy. And I liked having him around.
Yeah.
I had a good time with Neil.
He was in the gym with us every day too.
Oh wow!
By the hotel, and so yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
awesome.
For sure. He gets great massages too.
Oh yeah. he was in the cast masseuse as well as an actor.
Right now, the cast is nailed because great massages. That's it.
That's I'm leading with that. That's the title.
That's the title.
Last thing I'll ask both of you guys: favorite fight film. What do you go to? Favorite fight movie? Is the one you love?
Well,
obviously, Rocky's. Everyone goes to Rocky.
Yeah, you're gonna go to Rocky, but you can also go see when
it could be documentary too. Is it a good documentary?
Sure.
A Smashing Machine is that's got to be my favorite documentary.
Dude, I gotta bite it.
Yeah,
I gotta copy it. I love Smash Machine. I thought it was really great.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Jens Pulver's Driven is good. That just came out, so it hasn't really, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
When We Were Kings. You like When We Were Kings? Ali.
Yeah.
Ali Foreman.
I
movie?
like the Tyson documentary.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that was
really
a good one.
It's
Tyson.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The way they cut it together.
I was really inspired by West Side Story. I think there's some really intense fight scenes.
For real? Are you screwing with me? For real?
No.
That's how we based this.
I was like, is that the kind of fighting I'm going to see in this movie? Great. Awesome, dude. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks so much.